I can for Year 10 linear relations. So just going through the different skills. Solving linear equations. This is when we want to find out what the unknown pronumeral is, the letter. Easiest way that I've got of doing it, start with the letter. This is like I thought of an unknown number. I took x. I took away 2 and I got -8. To do proper working that helps you get the right answer, the next line should have x equals, start with their end result. They ended up with -8. And to reverse adding 2, the reverse of minus is plus. So we'll add 2. X equals, grab your calculator, -8 plus 2, -6. It's a good idea to check with your calculator anytime there's negatives involved. X divided by 8 equals -1. So proper working is x equals, start from where they ended up with -1. Now the opposite of divide is times. So they divided by 8, we've got to reverse that by multiplying by 8. X equals, there's negatives involved, use your calculator. -1 times 8, -8. By doing it like this, it helps us get the right answer. 8p means 8 times p. So we start with our letter. I had a letter p, I multiplied by 8 and I got 24. The working goes p equals, start with what they ended up with and reverse what they did. The opposite of times is divide by 8. If you need to get your calculator out, that's fine. 24 divided by 8 is 3. Now these are two-step equations. You can tell because there's two numbers hanging out on the side with the unknown letter. And we need to reverse order of operations. Start at the letter and basically you get further away from it. I thought of a number, I multiplied by 2, I subtracted 7 and I got 9. Our working still has the equal sign in a row, and we're going to deal with the second thing they did first. So we add 7 back. We don't deal with the 2 yet. We'll be sticking with 2x, and to reverse subtracting 7, we add 7. So 9 plus 7 is 16. Now it's a nice easy one-step equation like these. Thought of a number, multiplied by 2, I got 16. To get back to that number, 16 divided by 2. You can write the working in if you want. This one, I thought of a number, I added 3, I divided by 5 and I got 2. So the first thing I'll do is reverse dividing by 5, which means I've still got m plus 3 here. Dividing by 5, we reverse it by multiplying by 5. 2 times 5 is 10. Now I've got a nice easy one-step equation. I thought of a number, I added 3 and I got 10. To get back to my number from 10, I subtract 3. I thought of a number, I divided by 3, then I added 1 and I got 7. So I'll deal with the 1 first. I keep the x over 3. I deal with plus 1 by subtracting 1. 7 minus 1 is 6. I thought of a number, I divided by 3 and I got 6. To get back to the number from 6, I times by 3, 18. Solve inequalities and graph the solution on a number line. Solving an inequality is pretty similar to solving an equation. We want to get x on its own, but instead of finding out what it equals, we'll find out what it's less than or more than. So we can think of this as just like an equation. X plus 2 equals 7. I thought of a number, I added 2 and I got 7. To reverse adding 2, I subtract 2. X, if it was an equation, we'd write x equals 5. But it's not an equation, it's an inequation, so we keep the same sign. Then to graph it, go to where x is, so 5, and put a circle. The arrow goes the same way as the sign, and we don't colour it in because colouring it in would say that x could equal 5, whereas we're just saying that x is less than 5. So this is saying we don't know what x is, but we know it's anywhere less than 5. Solving this one, it's a two-step equation. I thought of a number, multiplied by 3, subtracted 2, and I got 10. I reverse subtracting 2 first. 3x, reverse of subtracting 2 is add 2. Now it would be an equals if I was doing an equation, but it's not an equation, it's an inequation, so I put the correct sign. I thought of a number, multiplied by 3, I got 12. To reverse multiplying by 3, I divide by 3. Put in the correct sign. Put your circle where the x is, because it could be equal, that's what the less, more than, or equal to means. We colour it in, arrow in the same direction as the sign. Finding the gradient and y-intercept of a line. The gradient of a line in the equation is the number in front of the x. So for the gradient here, it's 6. The gradient here is 3 over 5. The y-intercept of a line is the number that's on its own without the x. Now for both the gradient and the y-intercept, if there's a negative, we've got to write it in. And writing the equation of a line from a graph. So the equation of a line is just y equals the gradient in front of x and then the y-intercept added or subtracted. So if we know the gradient and the y-intercept, we can write the equation. And the way we remember that is y equals mx plus c. M is the gradient, and c is the y-intercept. So, y-intercept is nice and easy. It's where the line cuts through the y-axis. Here it's 4. Here it's 2. The gradient, rise over run. Now it's important to stop and think, is this a positive or negative gradient? It's positive, it's sloping up. So both these numbers have to be positive. Even though that one's negative, I'm not asking what is this number. I'm asking between those points, how much did the line go up? It went from 0 to 4. It went up 4. Between these points, how much did the line go across? It went across 1, 2, from negative 2 to 0. It didn't go across negative 2. I'm just asking how many grid squares did it go across. We'll look at it on this one as well. 4 divided by 2. Use your calculator anytime there's a fraction. And that equals 2. So the gradient is 2. Put that into the line. Y equals the gradient in front of the x plus or minus, and it's plus because this is positive, the y-intercept. Find the gradient for this one. Gradient is rise over run. Now this is a negative gradient because it slopes from top to bottom. So we know that the rise between this point, now you just find another point that's useful. Here on the x-axis and here on the y-axis is pretty good. Between that one and that one, reading across the page, it went down 2. It's a negative gradient. Between there and there, it went across 2. Anytime there's a fraction, use your calculator. Negative 2 over 2 is negative 1. So my gradient is negative 1. Then the line y equals the gradient times x plus the y-intercept. The gradient is -1. The y-intercept was positive, so I write +2. So that's the first page of your CI CAN.